CFFC 120 is headed your way this week here on UFC Fight Pass. Please be joined now by a name you're familiar with. He's fought on the Dana White Contender Series 2 times, and he's also on the CFFC card. It is Dennis Buzukja. What was that? Was that a cameo from a cat? What was that right there?
Yeah. That was my little tiger. I call him a little tiger. He just jumped in front of the camera.
I like it. Never a dull moment for you, man. We've been trying to connect here as the days start to count down and get closer and closer to your fight. And but you seem like a busy guy.
Man, I am. Unfortunately, I am. That's the life in New York City. There's nothing else you could do except be busy.
I mean, you run with a crew that seems to be pretty ambitious as well. I mean, Ray Longo somehow is like everywhere at one time. You know what I mean?
He's omnipresent, man. He's all over. He's the Godfather.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Ray. I've been able to work with Ray for the better part of 3 years pretty regularly. But I mean, like you said, he's the Godfather. He's been around mixed martial arts for so long. It's crazy to see a young Ray Longo in the archives, cornering Matt Serra back in the day. But what is your personal relationship like with Ray?
He's more than anything, man. He's just like a best friend. He's someone you look up to. He's like a second father type of guy. When he speaks, it means something and it matters. You take what he says very valuable. It's not like just something like some random guy says, "Oh yeah, you're looking great" or something. If he tells you you're ready or if you're looking good or if you're on track, then you really are. And he's always honest. He'll tell you what if it's good or bad. He'll tell you the truth. He's really just he's just a life coach. He's a fighting coach. He's just everything you look for as a foundation, like kind of like a rock, someone to lean on, someone to look up to and everything. So that's how me and I know all the guys look at him like that as well.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that there's no fluff. He doesn't throw around compliments lightly. When he says something, you take it to heart. His word is gospel, if you will.
Guy, if first of all, I've never 7 years with him, I've never gotten a compliment. If you get a compliment from me, I applaud you.
Yeah, that means when it comes, it means something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you really appreciate it when it does come. I don't know what that feels like, but when I do, I'll let you know.
One day, maybe you get it on, fight night this week.
Maybe if I win a championship belt, I think we'll get one.
You're on a nice little run here. Let's talk about your career. You've been to the Contender Series. You have yet to secure a contract to the UFC. What were the Contender Series, fights like for you as far as learning process is concerned?
The first one, it was such a weird time, man. I was 22 years old. It was like peak COVID, NYC. I'm in New York City. Obviously, everything was insanely shut down. Even the gym was closed. I was 4-1 at the time, fighting a tough guy. It wasn't my night. I went out there. It was just such a weird feeling, man. I remember walking out. I opened two doors and like you could hear a pin drop, and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Like more than anything, that took me back. I'm used to like people screaming and some type of commotion. It was just a pin drop. I was like, "Yo, like what the hell's going on?" I was a little sick that fight too. I did have COVID. I had some shoulder issues going in. I was supposed to get surgery, so it just wasn't really the right time for me to fight. Like Ray and Al, they kind of told me maybe I should pull out because I just wasn't like healthy going in. But I'm the type of guy, man. Once I sign the contract, if I can make it to the fight, I'm gonna make it to the fight and give it everything I got, which I did. Wasn't my night. They called me back. They actually called me back the summer after, but I declined it because I wanted to get just a bit more experience. So then the following summer, they called again, and I accepted. And then, I was definitely ready for that fight. I beat the guy decisively, kind of beat his ass. I just couldn't get the finish. Some guys just know how to survive and not get finished. He was a tough wrestler. He's Alpha Male's top prospect. But we all saw what happened with Dana that night. So there's that.
You're on a 6 fight winning streak. I mean, do you feel like the call to the UFC could come at any moment? Do you feel like you'll have to go through the Contender Series again? Like, what do you think your path to the UFC's octagon looks like?
I mean, from what we've been talking to them about, they said they're having me on short notice. They do not want to put me back on Contender because they're saving me for short notice. Mitchell pulled out of the Movsar fight May 6th here in Newark when Aljo was the main event. they called my manager. They didn't even tell me, but of course my manager accepted for me, Daniel Rubenstein. Shelby put the fight together, and then something happened on Movsar's side, some bullshit or whatever. They didn't want the fight, or they want another option or something. And they gave him another option, which was Diego Lopez or me, and he picked Diego. So there was that. That was very, very frustrating. I don't really get frustrated for things, but it frustrated me and it upset me a lot because I was preparing for May 6th. I was literally training. I was sparring for Vola. I was sparring some other guys, doing my hard rounds, dieting as if I'm gonna fight May 6th. I just felt like something was gonna happen. And then it did happen. And I'm like, holy shit. Me and Ray were joking about it. We were saying like the trio, me,
Right.
Favola, and Aljo. We were just joking about it. Like, fuck it, we'll manifest it. And then it happened, and then it didn't happen. So that, it upset me more than anything, honestly.
I think you have to kind of be prepared for everything and anything at any given moment. Is that something that you are comfortable with, or are you kind of a guy that likes everything to be regimented and you know where you're going, or are you okay with the sort of fly by the seat of your pants journey?
Nah, I love the spontaneous, reckless, take it as it comes type of thing. That's what makes it more exciting. If I like, how sick would it be? I get a short notice opportunity, 5 days notice, 4 days notice. I come in, knock the guy out. Maybe a legend or something, or a ranked opponent, like it would have been Movsar, for example. That's something you write stories about, man. That's something like you can't write that. You can't make it up. You know what I mean? Those are things like you just tell your kids about. So these are the things I live for. This is what I love. I love training. I love fighting. That's why I'm taking this fight. Just because what else am I gonna do with my life? I just love to fight so much, and I love training. I love getting better. So yeah, no. To answer your question, sorry. To answer your question, no, I'm not a regimented guy. I love the spontaneous, take it as it comes type of stuff.
Ideally, how many times would you compete in a single calendar year? Are you a guy that's like looking to try to get 4 fights in a year?
Yeah, 4 fights easy. I would do five if possible. If it wasn't for the weight cut, I would definitely do five. Maybe some at 55. And definitely four though. Four is easy.
Tell me about your opponent coming up here at CFFC.
He's a stocky Russian dude. That's really all I could describe him as. He's explosive. Um, it said on Tapology he was 34, so I don't know how much he has left in the tank. Regardless, even if he was 24, I just think he's not on my level. I'm obviously respecting him as a competitor with two arms and two legs. I just think where I'm at, especially where I'm at now, mentally, physically, just with my experience, it's all coming together at the perfect time, man. And I just think whether him or it's somebody else, these guys aren't on my level. I belong in the UFC. I know I will be world champ. And it doesn't matter who's in front of me. They're just gonna have to go down.
Speaking of world champs, you have one in the gym in Aljamain Sterling. What is it like to be around an active, competitive UFC champion? Do you learn from just being around Aljo?
Yeah, definitely. You know what's crazy? Aljo called me yesterday to see how I'm feeling because he just flew out to Vegas. And I was telling him for example, he inspires me because he's doing it. He's living proof. I sweat with him. I train with him. It's not like you see it on TV like it's a movie. Like you might see an NBA player or something. You're like, oh, I wish I could be in the NBA. But it's like, no, I'm really in the room sweating with these guys. So having him around, it's just, and like he believes in my skills, man. It means a lot. That gives me confidence. It gives me hope for myself as well that I'm doing the right thing, and God willing it will pay off, and he believes that the hard work will pay off, and he says I'm putting the right work in, and I'm just copy and pasting the recipe, man. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. There's some phenomenal fighters that have come out of your gym. We've talked a little bit about Ray Longo. How much do you work with Ray when it comes to sort of game planning and strategizing about your opponent?
Yeah, every day we're talking, we're scheduling the training together depending on how I'm feeling or depending on the opponent. Maybe we'll do more kind of like positional grappling or striking or in the pocket stuff. Really depends on the opponent. So, and then based on the sparring as well is how we'll adjust the rest of the training camps, so there's really no one size fits all, and that's really the beauty of Ray because he took that Bruce Lee Jeet Kune Do philosophy, and it's really just make what fits fit type of
Right.
thing. It's not like it's like just figuring it out. And what works for me might not work for somebody else, and he knows that, and he doesn't try to change people's styles based on what they're not. And I really love that about him, And I just speaking about it now made me really realize what he does.
Yeah, Ray is a guy that I think is good because he's malleable from a personality standpoint. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to make sure people fire on all cylinders. Like, I mean, I'll never forget the corner advice in between the rounds with Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. Like, I want you to punch a hole in his effing chest. Like, uh, how do you not get motivated by that? Like, Ray Longo could just release motivational quotes, I think, on like an audiobook form, and people would get excited.
I know, right? You ever see like the pictures of like quotes and it shows the picture of the guy there? They should do that of Ray Longo. Like they have like the Jordan ones or something that they should do it of
Right.
Ray. You know,
Exactly.
how about when Aljo was fighting Jan the second time and he's like, look at that motherfucker, look at him.
Yeah,
That shit,
exactly.
oh my God, bro. I'm about to go on like a 10-mile run just because of that.
Absolutely, 100%. You're fighting here in CFFC. It's down in Atlantic City. Your last fight was in like the UAE.
Yeah.
You fought all over the place. I mean, are you gonna have a pretty good crowd coming out to see you fight?
Yeah, definitely. I think it should be. I think so far, like kind of, or estimate is like 300 to 350 Albanians coming down that I know of. And
Wow.
day of is they just God knows how many show up. It's gonna be a packed out crowd. I think it's sold out actually. I think the Hard Rock sold out.
That's awesome. And I've been to that venue. It's a phenomenal facility to
Beautiful,
watch a
beautiful.
fight. But 350 people, man, Dennis, you're gonna have like an army with you.
Yeah, that's kind of average. Like for my crowds, that's kind of average. I bring in a lot of Albanians, because especially local, because it's a regional fight. I have such a strong Albanian support in New York City, in the tri-state area. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, even Pennsylvania. I'm kind of like their representative. I'm the representative in MMA for us, and these are from their words. It's not me speaking about myself. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. They support me endlessly, and then I train hard. As much as they support me, I train twice as hard. And then when I'm in that cage, I give it everything I have, and they know that, and they really appreciate that, and I appreciate them. So we feed off of each other. It's really a beautiful thing. I'm blessed.
I was going to ask about the pressure because obviously you have the eyeballs and the matchmakers of the UFC watching you, but 350 people, if that's not motivation enough to put on a good show, I don't know what is.
I love the eyeballs, man. I love the lights. I love doing the crazy stuff. Like you mentioned the last fight. I took the fight 2 weeks notice at 155 in Abu Dhabi. It was like an international card, and they had me representing Albania. And I was like, man, who can come with me? I was like, I'm in, but I was just trying to figure out who could come with me. And it ended up being Steamroller, and just me and Steamroller flew out to Abu Dhabi. That we landed that Tuesday. I fought Saturday, got the first round finish, and again, that's what I'm talking about, like that spontaneous thing, like 2 weeks notice, let's go. We're out to across the world, and we got to finish in Etihad Arena. So these are the things I love, man. These are lifelong memories. It's just such a wonderful sport. It's crazy, but it's wonderful at the same time.
Talking about, the eyeballs, how important are style points? I mean, obviously you want to get to the UFC, but do you feel like you have to win in a certain way in like an impressive fashion each time out here as you get closer and closer to your eventual goal?
Yeah, I do actually. I do, especially in the position I'm at now, because I did win on Contender, but it wasn't a finish. So now I'm like especially looking for the finish, and it could. It's a double-edged sword, because I could open myself up. It is a little more dangerous when you take more risks, but I mean, I'm always looking for the finish regardless, but I think just a little more emphatic now, which means taking more risks. Oh,
You're
I have
back.
no idea what happened. Sorry
It's
about
all
that.
right. You were talking about taking more risks.
Yeah, so I do have to look for the finish more. It is a little bit like riskier, but I'm always looking for it, and the flashy stuff. That's what makes the fight more exciting. Like I get pleasure from the crowd oohing and eyeing and cheering. You know, nobody wants to win a boring decision, holding the guy down and stuff. So again, I just do this because I love it. I love to fight. I love the reactions from the crowds. I love, the attention and the glory from it. So yeah, finish with style points is always the goal.
Are you someone who like visualizes things? Or are you mentally sort of walking yourself through the fight leading up to it?
Yeah, for sure. I think visualization is super, super, super important for fighting and for anything in life. You know, you have to feel it, you have to see it, you have to really believe it. Not to sound like cliche like that Luke Rockhold fucking that saying that Bisping shitted on him for, but it's true. It is true. You know, John Jones is big on it, Izzy's big on it, McGregor's big on it. Their resumes speak for themselves. I visualize, everything going good, and I visualize everything going bad, so that if the bad does happen, because it's a fight, anything can happen. It's not a fantasy world. At least I'll be somewhat familiar with it and comfortable and know how to handle it. Instead of getting caught off guard.
So let's look into the future a little bit. What does it look like? What's the path to victory coming up here this week in Atlantic City?
I'm gonna say first round jumping switch kick knee.
That's pretty specific.
I've been drilling it a lot. I'm gonna call it out now. We've been
Right.
working it.
Well, Dennis, we're going to be tuned in. I appreciate your time, sir. Best of luck as we count down the final days here to CFFC 120. And I'm sure we'll see you do work, and hopefully that work will be in the octagon before too long.
Thank you so much, CJ. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the kind words.